The legend Dor Brunson famously wrote that pocket aces are designed to either win you a small pot or lose you a big pot.
Every video in this compilation involves pocket aces, and you're going to get a chance to play along. All you have to do is guess whether the player with the aces is going to lose,
The aces taketh,
or win.
the aces giveth.
And don't forget to giveth yourself a like and subscribe.
A different level.
Oh, I was a believer then. I was a believer he had a horrendous decision to make for his tournament life.
I will say one thing. They've kind of wore their emotions on the sleeve the whole time. So this could be a legit spot where he has a hand like ace-queen, pocket tens, pocket jacks. It's not impossible. Of course, we can see he has the aces. And I would say he doesn't want to overdo it. And he also probably just wants to shove. I mean, a small 4-bet maybe. But he's going to have to like 4-bet half a stack. And it's just nearly never a bluff.
Well, it doesn't matter what he does. We can see this is the coldest of cold decks, and it's all going to go in at some point.
It's going to be a one-outer as well. That's required to stay alive for Kovalyuk.
He's played so well, and he's about to come a cropper, it would seem.
Oh man, 5-handed on an EPT final table, kings against aces is just naughty. It's not okay. It makes me feel a little bit uneasy. I'm not sure if I'm even going to watch this one. You might have to call it on your own, Richard.
I hope people can appreciate the acting masterclass we are seeing here. If you covered up the cards, if you didn't know what he had right now, you wouldn't be putting him on aces, would you? He looks like he has one of those right on the balance hands. Oh, do I take a stand here with my pocket nines? Oh, my pocket tens. Oh, it's tricky. What do I do?
If he does all of this and then elects to 4-bet though, it's going to set alarms off. I don't think there's a situation where you can fold kings 5-handed, but it's just so messed up.
Do you think Matrasan's going to fold? I'm thinking yes, he will.
I mean, yeah.
He does know it's his turn to act, doesn't he? There's no way he can continue. Wait! No way. Every time they do that, it gives me a heart attack. Just the riffle at the moment. What is happening here? What is happening here, Finton? Talk me through this.
No,
he does let it go.
Just a little bit of Hollywood in.
Everyone's getting in on the act right now. Okay, so Kovalyuk with this enormous hand.
He's looking pretty calm. There's got to be a little bit of fear. He's got 2 kings in his hand, so obviously makes it very unlikely that his opponent has kings, and people don't tend to use this size with pocket queens. I think they're more likely to just go all in. I don't think he's going to be able to fold. He most likely just has to get it in, but he is not going to be loving life right now. That sounds crazy to say, right? He's got pocket kings, he's playing 5-handed. They're only 40 big blinds deep. But when someone min clicks it back as a 4-bet, having put on that little act.
Yeah, Kovalyuk's kind of blown it a little bit because I think Kovalyuk's onto him. But unfortunately, he's in a position where it is nigh on impossible to fold kings. If he made this laydown now, I think we'd all just have to drop to our knees and pray to the god that is the young Walter White from Breaking Bad.
Wow. Just call. Oh, so sick. The little wry smile before he put it in. He didn't want to, I don't feel, but he just has to. We know he's only going to have one out. This is such a huge and sick pot.
He's going to be down to a chip and a chair. Kovalyuk, having been the tournament favourite for ages now. And Kovalyuk is going to be a chip monster if his aces can hold.
Kovalyuk really hasn't put a foot wrong so far, and he just gets coolered out of his mind on the final table. 8.6 million chips in the pot.
Remember, we have seen one of the kings folded here. The unlikely diamond flush draw is out of commission because Kovalyuk's got that ace as well. And it's all hearts, but more importantly, there's a king!
Oh my god.
Kovalyuk still has that heart draw. How did he find that king? Look how many outs Kovalyuk has, though. Still got the 2 aces and got all those hearts. This is unbelievable. A 9 on the turn. There's just one card to come. 10 outs available to Kovalyuk here. Otherwise, he is out. Aces cracked by kings. How has this happened? Look how relaxed Kovalyuk looks.
Don't smile just yet.
Pacing up and down like a caged animal, looking to the heavens. And there's a 9 on the end.
Wow.
And Kovalyuk somehow found the king, and we have lost a player.
A one-outer for the chip lead. 9.5 million in chips, and we are going to be down to 4 players.
Pocket aces? Well, it's not going to matter much. It's a hand you'd play regardless.
Uh-oh, king-queen offsuit for Kevin Saul.
Well, you know, the thing that's difficult a lot of time is making the adjustment, going from playing 5 or 6-handed back to 9. This is a hand where you're 5-handed, king-queen, sure you call. But now Gomes is raising an early position. King-queen, I don't know, it's iffy.
Gonna make the call of 210,000.
One of those trouble hands.
Absolutely. If you flop a king or a queen, you could go broke.
It's over to Jan in the small blind now.
So Gomes looking for
Tony's
someone
got
to
the
say
bait.
raise. Doesn't look like that's going to happen
All right,
here.
for 210,000 apiece. Kevin and Alex are going to go heads up to this flop.
585 in the pot now. Kevin's got position on Alex.
Flop is a deuce of
Two
clubs,
sixes
six of
and a
clubs,
deuce with a
six of
couple of
hearts.
clubs.
Well, you know, that's about as good as a flop you're going to get there with pocket aces. He does have the ace of clubs, so he's got the backdoor clubs covered, if you will. Really what he's hoping Kevin Saul has now is a hand like pocket tens or pocket jacks. And he's going to hope to get paid off here.
Gomes bets 355 into the pot.
Well, Kevin has no business in this hand anymore. Really needs to just get away from it here. Unless, again, you know, he's a very aggressive player. He might sense weakness incorrectly, as we both know.
Kevin makes the call of 350,000.
Now, how do you explain what Kevin's doing here?
Well, Kevin is just trying to steal this pot on the turn, most likely. He's expecting maybe Gomes to check on the turn. Kevin Saul could go ahead and pick up the pot. He's hoping that Gomes has just ace-king.
Third 6 on the turn.
Well, great play here from Gomes. I like the check, especially against an aggressive player like Kevin Saul. He's sort of putting up the white flag, saying, okay, I have nothing. Go ahead. You bet. Rah, rah, rah.
Little does Kevin know that Gomes has the second nuts. Highly unlikely, of course, both statistically and contextually, that Kevin has a 6 in his hand.
Well, a $500,000 bet now from Kevin Saul. So for Gomes, the decision is not fold for sure. It's, should I let this guy bluff on the river, or should I go ahead and raise him now and try to get all my chips in the middle? Kevin Saul obviously hoping for Gomes to throw his hand away.
But Gomes has to be thinking Kevin's drawing dead in this spot.
Oh, absolutely. With a board like 6-6-6 deuce, you know, if Kevin Saul has 2 tens or 2 jacks, that would, you know, give Gomes a lead of 95%, something to that effect. So Gomes definitely not worried about being beat here. Just trying to go through the best way to get the maximum value. You see there Andre Akari, a good friend to Alexander Gomes, looking on. Gomes agonizing, like, oh, what to do, but Kevin Saul just hoping now that Gomes folds, and we know that's not going to happen.
Alex calls.
I love this play. I think this is the right way to approach a guy like Kevin Saul. You know, he's definitely capable of firing one bluff at the river. Gomez feels like there's no card that's going to come that's going to beat me, so...
Oh, no, and now the queen on the end. Kevin Saul's got to think he just got lucky.
Well, absolutely. Now Kevin Saul thinks, hey, I've got sixes full of queens. There's no way Gomez has aces or kings the way he's played it. Now, Saul has turned what was once a bluff into possibly a value bet.
Well, look at the theatrics from Gomez.
Kevin Saul asking for a count. He's got the right answer, $2.5 million.
It's more than 2.5.
He's like, hey man, I don't believe that.
Yeah, 1.
So that's 2 million in back, right? Or
Yeah,
1
maybe
million
a
in
little
back.
more.
A lot of
Sorry about
discussion
that.
going on here. Interesting here. It's over 2 million in this pot already.
Very close to 3, I think.
It's very close to 3. You're right.
Gomez has given Kevin Saul every opportunity to bluff with this pot. Now he's made his queen. He's got to feel like he's got the best hand. Think that a bet is in order here from Kevin Saul. You know, Gomez has showed no aggression in this pot. You know, bet the flop, sure, but then he just checked. He checked. Maybe Kevin Saul thinks he's got a hand like 9s or 10s. So everyone in the audience quiet, wondering what's going to happen with this monster pot. Counting out some chips.
And Saul is going to bet what looks
Big
like
bet.
1.3 million.
I'm all in.
And all in from Gomes. Finally, he says, gotcha. Sprung the trap. Now you fell in it. So Kevin
I
Saul.
want an exact count, so put a 1.3 in. Or
All right.
just count it down exactly.
Kevin Saul now trying to figure out exactly. Now Andrea Akari saying, we got him. We grabbed him. He says, check, check, check. And now we trapped him. Well, now Kevin Saul wondering, why did I bother value betting in this spot?
Tough to check behind, though, isn't
Sure
it, Daniel?
is. It's hard to put your opponent on aces or kings, but the problem now is you face a check raise, and what are you going to do? How are you going to fold now? It does feel like Gomes has him, though.
6.5 million roughly out there.
This pot is
So
for the
it's
chip lead
1.3, so it's
in the tournament.
1.55.
Okay.
1.
And we know that Gomes will be the chip leader regardless.
1.585
Whether
more.
Kevin Saul calls or not, it's going to be Gomes now who's in the lead. Will he get away from it? He's got to call another 1.5 million. He's already put in 1.3 million. Very difficult to fold here.
Getting over 4-1 on his money.
Problem is, Kevin Saul's instincts are telling him. He
call.
says, well, this guy trapped me, but he goes against his instincts, makes the call, sees the aces.
Action folded to Mikkel Nielsen, who's got aces.
I just want to let you know, we're all counting on you.
He raises to 80k. Andrea Dato has 8-10 suited. He folds. Ace-king suited for Panka.
Things are about to get pretty rank for Dominic Panka. Do you know it's actually harder to get dealt ace-king suited than it is to get dealt aces? It's kind of messed up.
Here comes a 3-bet. Panka re-raises to 190,000. Kirill Radzivinou folds the small blind. Andre Letau in the big blind. Also passes. Back on Nielsen.
Folks aren't folding much in position, so I would suspect we're going to see a 4-bet.
He makes it 310,000.
4-bet's a little small, but I don't think it's going to matter.
Panka shoves.
Call.
And Nielsen calls. Panka at risk and behind.
Last time I saw a cooler this big, Rocky was punching meat in it.
Here comes the flop. 2 hearts on board.
Dominic Panka, so good.
He now has 9 outs. And that's one of them!
Me.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Nielsen's not drawing dead. With an ace or 6 on the river, he'll make a full house. No.
Must be nice.
That hand was the worst thing to happen to a Nielsen since Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Jason has decided this is
I know.
an opportunity to shove.
Sorry.
Oh, and it's a call here from Fabian.
This is 3-way all in.
What can you do?
Aces. Aces for Fabian, I believe. The 6 is for Renault, and the... Oh, she slow rolled us there.
Kings for Mercier.
Oh, man, what do you do? What are you meant to do here? That is just the way life is.
Kings are live. I think a king's coming, Jason. You had a king? No, I think a king's coming.
I
have kings.
Good.
I have kings again. Guy moved in for 275. Yeah, aces in the big. What can you do?
Let's not forget Renault here. He's got 16% chance. Yeah?
He's got nearly as big a shot as Mercier does.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. I think a king's coming.
No king, no 6. Ace is holding. 2 more streets to dodge. No side pot for Jason to win either. This is the kind of race where there's no special prize for coming in second.
You, sir, are correct.
So that's no additional outs for anyone.
No, nothing to believe in. It's just about, can I hit my card on the river? Is Greenstein ready, standing by?
674.
Is he going to hit Rabbit?
Boom.
Oh, I told you.
Oh, done.
And that is going to mean that Renault is out of there.
How? So Lubovetsky, who starts the hand with 43 big blinds, just calls with aces, playing it tricky.
That is very tricky.
And round to Florian Maurer in the big blind, who has pocket eights.
This is a great spot not to re-raise with your eights and instead just call. If you re-raise and someone else goes all in, it's a pretty rough spot that you probably need to fold, but I typically like just calling in this spot. I would much prefer to re-raise with my best hands and then some of my bluffs. And pocket eights is kind of a medium strength hand, right? Looks like he is getting the re-raise ready, though, and it's not going to go well for him this time.
Yeah, the yellow chips are the 1Ks, the blue chips are the 5Ks. We see that some players have the green 25K chips. So the re-raise from Maurer is to 80,000. Gets a fold from the original raiser, so action back on Lubovetsky.
So with the aces now, do we call or do we go all in? What do you think he's thinking about here?
So Lubovetsky is the effective stack, 40 bigs behind.
When you call a decently large re-raise, usually that is an extreme sign of strength. Another thing he did there is he kind of looked back at his cards, which some people only do when they have exact nut hands. I think you can go either way. I think it depends a lot on how you expect your opponent to react. If you think Maurer is primarily raising with only really good hands, you might as well go all in now so that you just get it in great. If you think he's bluffing a lot, then you want to instead call.
Well, there's the shove from Lubovetsky, and Maurer asks for a count. And this is for most of Maurer's stack. Just to put things in perspective, Lubovetsky has 431,000, Maurer has 473,000.
So here, Maurer has to put in 350 to win a pot that's going to go up to a total of 900,000. The 543 plus another 350. So that to figure out how often he needs to win, you take the 350, divide it by 900, and that is the percentage of the time that Maurer needs to win to justify calling. So if he wins more than that, assuming there are no payout implications, which there clearly are here, then he should call. If he's going to win less than that, he should fold. And this is actually a pretty close spot. He needs to win about 33% of the time or so. And he probably will against Lubovetsky's range of maybe aces, kings, queens, jacks. Maybe his range is a little bit different than that, though, because he may 3-bet kings, queens, and jacks. So maybe his range is instead something like aces, 10s, 9s, 8s, ace, king, and ace, queen. Maybe some random bluffs like ace-5 suited. It's kind of difficult to figure out what Lubovetsky's range looks like in this scenario. This is a spot where I think in a tournament you probably just want to fold to avoid the high variance flip against a player who hasn't really been absurd. Like Lubovetsky has not been absurd. In the previous hand, Stark had been absurd.
Well, there's the call.
He makes the call.
Throws in a single chip. And Lubovetsky at risk, but a 4-1 favorite. The ace is crushing the 8s of Florian Maurer. So chances are we see a double up here.
It's definitely a rough spot with those 8s. I think most players are a little too inclined to gamble in spots like this. I mean, because if there were no tournament payout implications, you should call with your 8s here. Because you're probably going to win about 35, 32% of the time, somewhere in there, maybe 38% of the time. And you need to win about 33. So it's close, but going to be a profitable chip EV call, meaning you're going to make chips in the spot. but you're going to lose dollars because if you bust, it's so detrimental. Or if you double your opponent up for most of your stack, it's so detrimental.
The flop is Jack 7-4. Lubovetsky now a 9-1 favorite. Just has to fade an 8.
Either bury on the river will be a lot of fun. It'll give one of the players a set. Maurer would certainly sign for one of the two to come.
So Maurer will be left with just 12 big blinds at the end of this. Unless, of course, we see a repeat of yesterday when Barry Greenstein did indeed spike an 8 on the river, and it set off all the alarms here at Atlantis. The river card's an 8! It's happened again!
Ooh, wow.
That's a full house for Florian Maurer.
Get that graphics team ready.
A bad beat.
Looks like he's going to open this pot. And why wouldn't you with a couple of black aces?
Action folded around to Craig Brown, who has the 8-10 of spades, and he's going to call on the button. Whoa! Do you know how many chips he has, Nick?
I can report he has about 12 big blinds.
What do you think of his play, Nick?
That's not my job. Do the analysis, you analyst, you.
I'm just interested to know. Well,
I think it might be a little bit wrong.
just a little bit, but nonetheless.
Just doesn't quite have enough chips for that one, I don't think.
No, he does not.
Okay. Well, it's not going to be the only caller because Rhys Jones is going to call in the small blind and Finton is going to call in the big blind. So we're going to have a four-way flop.
Well, as it turns out, Craig Brown has actually flopped a double belly buster. He's got the double gut shot, which is the same as an open-ender.
Okay, so you can make it straight with a 7 or a jack.
Exactly.
And Barnes has gone ahead and bet. Brown is going to try and hit that.
He has just called all in.
Double belly gut nutter buster. I don't know what it is.
Nutter buster.
Yeah, that's
it's
it.
something slightly different, Nick, but never mind.
Well, he's got 8 shots at this. It's a big pot for him. He doesn't need 8 shots. Just the one will do.
And he takes the other one. Why not?
What is that? What is that? A double hit whammy double nutter gutter buster.
Pocket aces are definitely going to get after that as you see the Brazilian Alex Gomes.
When you're short-handed, you pick up a hand like aces, you just think to yourself, wow, you're so much more likely to get re-raised or played with because players, tend to think that, well, he might be stealing. Hand
King Jack suited for Benny Spindler.
Hand like King Jack here for Benny Spindler. He's certainly going to at least make a call. He possibly might even re-raise. We've seen him do that before. He's got some chips to play with now.
He is a fearless young man, that is for sure. We saw him picking on Kevin Saul in earlier action.
Call, 305,000.
Well, he definitely wants to see a flop with this kind of a hand. He's just electing to call in position. Azari not going to play the queen 3, so we're going to have heads up pot with Anthony Gregg also folding.
Alex and Benny are going to go heads up to this
850,000 out there.
Once again, Gomes with aces.
Oh my goodness, quads on the flop. Don't ever run bad.
Strange. The last time Gomes had aces it was against Kevin Saul, and 3 6s came on board. He won a big pot. This time, 3 of a kind is going to come on board, and he's destined to lose a lot of chips right here.
In 9-handed action, Gomes trapped Kevin Saul with 6s full of aces for a huge pot. Now he's got jacks full of aces, but this time it's not the best hand.
Well, no, he's really just completely dead here. And now the question is, how is Spindler going to play it?
1.3.
He is raising, wasting no time.
This is an interesting play here from Spindler. He's got 4 of a kind, and, popular wisdom would say you should just call and slow play it. But what he's hoping for here is that his raise looks like a bluff, and that Gomes does have a hand like aces, kings, or something along those lines, and is going to, play for it all. There's no way Gomes thinks if you had a jack, you'd raise here.
Like 10?
820,000 raise.
Asking for a chip count. You'll find actually that Benny Spindler has more chips than he does. So Gomes, his tournament life on the line here, and I got to tell you, Ali, I don't like his chances of surviving this one. This looks like the writing is on the wall. Well, he's just going to call. Now, the funny thing about this is Gomes actually thinks that he's trapping him.
Right, he thinks he's slow playing his hand.
He's trying to trap him as he thought and as he did against Kevin Saul earlier in this tournament. Now Benny Spindler asking for a chip count.
1,350,000 apiece.
6.
Let's see the turn card.
Now,
Like
Benny
it, man.
can't really care how
Turn
much
cards of
Gomez
five
has
of
here.
It's just trying to like
Jack,
show
Jack,
weakness,
five
if you
with two
will. It's a little
spades
bit of
on
a
board. Alex
sort of
is
Hollywood
first.
move. Gomez is checking.
And that's poker on a higher level, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now Gomez is really checking in the hopes that Spindler, is going to bluff at it. As we know, he's not bluffing. He's got 4 of a kind. And Spindler is really taking an aggressive approach to this
Then he
hand to
bets
try
out
to get as
2
many
million.
chips in as possible. A big bet once again of 2 million.
Pot up to 5.5 million now.
Well, this is the opportunity now for either Gomez to be an absolute genius and make the most remarkable laydown we may have ever seen.
Don't bet on that.
Or he might just decide, all right, now's the time. Let's get all those chips in the middle. Just an amazing. Oh, and he does. He's moving it all in. Of course, Spindler. He's calling. He's got 4 of a kind. Gomez says, completely dead. River card is totally irrelevant. Spindler wins a monster pot, eliminating Gomez. He's up over 16 million in chips now. Stunned. Look at the crowd. They can't believe it. Pocket aces going down in flames. The river now just a formality. Spindler now is going to have a stranglehold on this tournament.